Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Racecast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Nailed it. And you can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Links are in the description, so go check us out.
All right, guys, welcome along to episode 3 of Racecast. Luke, I have to congratulate you because how many takes was that intro for you?
Oh yeah, it took me a while. Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not a natural at this. Do you know what I mean? This is not my forte.
Last week you smashed it.
Yeah, no.
Last week was like all right, guys, welcome along to a brand
Yeah, but, right, so I watched it back. I watched that back and I was like, that doesn't draw me in. I felt like there wasn't enough, oomph in it. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit like, I wouldn't check out those links. So I wanted to try and make it a bit more you know, so someone's like, that sounds cool. I'm going to do that. But, hopefully I brought a little bit more character to it.
So you wouldn't think yourself as like a salesman, selling it to people?
No, not at all. But I feel like, and we will get onto the Formula One here. But from where I've come from, I've never had to be the content man. I've always just been there chipping in. I've relied on the other people for the entertainment, so and I'll draw off that. Whereas now, and I was thinking about this yesterday, I was like, now actually, it's down to us, or I can't necessarily solely rely on you. Maybe I rely on Weller.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So now I feel now I've got to up my game and I've got to really start to play the role.
But it's also very different. This is a completely different podcast from what you normally do.
Yeah.
Because this is about a sport. This is an F1 podcast. What you're used to is I don't know.
Talking about would you sleep with your cousin or something? Yeah. This is very different. No, I'm well aware. And I still get we'll post a question about who's your Racecast driver of the week? And it's oh Luke, would you shag your stepsister? It's not relevant, mate.
Would you?
No.
No? Is that definite?
No, and I actually did a poll on my Instagram the other day. I was in a toilet in a pub in Brighton, and there was a little a tally chart of a competition. It was stepsister porn versus cream pies or something. Stepsister. So I ran it on my Instagram.
Who won?
Stepsister porn by a landslide. And I thought no, that's not right. That's not, is it? If you've grown up with this young woman, then you're wrong, in my opinion.
So what was it? Stepsister porn and
cream pies? I won't go. If you don't know what it is, just Google it. I think currently we're not running as explicit content, so.
Although on YouTube it is not suitable for kids. So.
Yeah, that is true. It's not.
It is true.
But on Spotify, it hasn't got the little E next to it.
Okay.
But maybe we'll have to for this episode.
Should we stay away from stepsister porn and cream pies?
Yeah, that might be wise.
All right, fine. Should we talk about F1?
Yeah, let's get on to the racing.
Right.
I think that's why people are here anyway.
Yeah, I think so. But I enjoyed that. So, Saudi Arabia. I personally felt like it lived up to what we were expecting. Not as good as obviously last year, but still very entertaining.
In terms of racing, it was better than last year.
Yeah, I agree.
Across the field. Because all we really looked at last year was Lewis and Max. And even when Lewis eventually got in front, he drove off.
Yeah, no.
Last year. Whereas you had this race, you had so many battles throughout the field, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But at the front, Charles couldn't pull away from Max. Yeah. And then when Max eventually got in front, with 3 laps to go or whatever, Charles was on his arse the whole time, and it looked like he might even get him back.
I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was phenomenal racing. Should we go back right to the beginning? Obviously, practice was pretty much down to Charles Leclerc. He dominated practice, and it looked like he was going to be the favourite for pole come qualifying. Let's touch on qualifying because that was very entertaining in itself, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest. What did I miss? No, I watched qualifying. I missed FP2. I was about to say I missed Q2, but I didn't.
You missed FP2?
Yeah.
Qualifying, Latifi crash. Can I just say, I told you this would happen, and he even crashed in the race. I told you that would happen.
Do you know what? Your agenda against him has actually rubbed off on me. I was sitting downstairs with Glenn watching it yesterday, and I was like, strange, there's No, not nothing. No one's crashed. Why has no one crashed? I was like, not even Latifi's crashed. Next lap, he's in the wall. It was mental.
Didn't I tell you? He is the new Mazepin, and it's all
that seems harsh. I'm gonna say that's harsh.
No, that is harsh. But there's even like tweets going around going, Mazepin gets kicked out of the sport. In comes Latifi. It's all these memes coming out. It's like,
did he crash that much last year? I don't remember.
I don't think he crashed that. He had retirements because the car was quite poor.
Yeah,
he didn't have crashes like this.
It's funny because like he was in the wall and he was just like, I don't know what happened there, dude. I don't know what accent that was. That was mental, wasn't it? What was it?
That was a bit.
It was meant. He's
American.
Canadian, isn't he?
Yeah, I know, but it sounded a bit like American.
I think I went like a bit Scottish as well. Yeah, maybe cut that bit, but yeah, and I was thinking like, well, you must kind of know what happened. You've crashed like the last 3 weeks, like.
Oh, he's been poor.
He's crashed loads.
Oh, but that in qualifying, that crash, the rear just went, and he literally was like, I don't know what happened. No, you could see, like, on the helmet cam, he just lost control of it completely. Yeah. So that's what happened.
Are you talking about the crash in the race?
No, qualifying.
Yeah, okay. When the back end just completely went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's going, I don't know what happened with that. And I'm thinking to myself, I can tell you what you've done there. Because
like you're a race car driver. You should be telling us what happened.
Luckily, it wasn't a bad crash, but... I mean, still, he did crash and he didn't get any further in qualifying. One person who I do want to touch on, and I feel quite sad for, Tsunoda. He had a weekend from hell. He didn't even get out in qualifying. There's talk that they still don't know what it actually was, but I think it might be due to the power unit. So qualifying, he didn't even set a lap.
Why had they? But at some point, something to do with the AlphaTauris, they were talking about fuel.
Yeah.
Which was the issue with the Red Bulls the week before.
Yeah. Gasly had similar issues in practice, I believe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Tsunoda didn't even really get out at all. And in qualifying, really disappointed. Because I thought the AlphaTauris looked a bit better this weekend.
He was putting in some good times in practice.
Yeah, he looked good. I think he was in top 10. He was at one point, he was 7th. But I was really disappointed that we didn't get to see a time from him. But yeah, there's real concerns for AlphaTauri. I mean, that's the second week now that they've had issues.
Well, yeah, but is there concerns for Red Bull as a whole? Have they? I think they seem to think they've sussed this problem. But if the AlphaTauris are still suffering, because they're not suffering like bodywork problems, do you know what I mean? Which would be down to them. If they're dealing with these like internal issues to do with the engine, that's a Red Bull problem as well.
Yeah, but Red Bull looked a lot more comfortable this weekend than the AlphaTauri.
Can we talk about their straight line speed? What
do you know what? It's incredible. It is incredible. It is like a work of art. You watch it, like the overtakes. I know we'll get onto the actual race bit in a minute, but let's just touch on this. The overtakes Verstappen was doing. I mean, the helmet cam and the onboard video. It just looked outrageous. Yeah. It looked like something from one of those cartoons. You put like a power jet on the back of their car. It's like Wacky Races or something. Yeah. And you literally just see them go flying past. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Lewis at Brazil, where you saw where whatever they did to his engine there was like a spaceship. And like he was just like flying past people. But I got the exact same vibes from that Red Bull yesterday. I swear on the speed trap they were clocking like 208.
It got to 210 at one point. I saw Perez do 210.
But that's
ridiculous.
That's abnormal.
Yeah.
That is so fast.
Let's touch on Perez. First pole in his career, 200 and something odd races, and he's never been on pole. And then he just goes there, one of the most difficult tracks you can actually race out on the calendar, and he just pulls out a blinder, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I feel like you've bigged up Perez quite a lot. Did you not say he was going to win the race?
Not for this race. I said he was going to win Bahrain race. But I told you in the first podcast we did, I'm expecting big things from Perez this year. And he showed it. Qualifying, he was phenomenal. So I still stand by that.
He couldn't overtake Sainz.
Nope.
And he did do you think he got shafted by the team? Should they have anticipated?
I mean, it's always hard, isn't it? Christian Horner came out. I know we're touching on the race now. Christian Horner came out after and he was like, it's just one of those unlucky things. Because I'm not being funny, Christian Horner's favourite is Verstappen. There's no denying about it. He's like a pure fanboy of Verstappen. Like, he gets giddy when he talks about Verstappen.
A bit strange, really, isn't it?
Like, do you find it weird? Like,
a little bit.
I'm not being funny, but like, he was talking about it. Oh, Max, it's like his son. Like, he's so proud of him, and I get it. But then he talks about Perez, and he was like, yeah, he was unlucky, yeah. But let's talk about my boy.
How about Max? Yeah, he did great.
No, it's like that. But Perez, I think, has come on a lot. I think this year he's showing he's got the pace. He feels more comfortable in the car. And just with that lap in qualifying was outrageous.
Yeah, because I put up a story. I can't remember what it was. It was like during like one of the practice sessions, and Perez was like 0.8 down on Max at the end of it or something. And I was just like giving my personal opinion on like the whole session. And I was like, I always find it mental how much slower Perez is than Max. Because I don't think there's that. I think Max is a better driver, but I don't think there's that much difference. But then for Perez to pull it out the bag on the Saturday, I was impressed. I was surprised because also that lap that Leclerc put in was pretty tasty.
To beat like Leclerc and Sainz, Perez did a fantastic job, and to see where Verstappen finished in qualifying in fourth, he went out there and it was a superb lap, and I was really happy for Perez because I like Perez. Yeah. Granted, he's with the Red Bull, but I like Perez. I've always thought that he's a very talented driver. Obviously, last year he was always second fiddle. He was always the second driver, but this year it's a clean slate. So I honestly think you're going to see a lot more from Perez this year. Because I think he realises he hasn't got long left to prove himself. If he wants to win championships or anything, probably this year or next is his best chance.
I'm going to put it out there. I can't ever see Perez winning a championship.
No, I mean, but from his point, what I mean is from his point of view, if he feels like he can win a championship, this year is probably his best opportunity.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he has the opportunity. So I'm going to be honest. I think I doubt. I think all the drivers have zero doubt in themselves. I think they all genuinely believe that they can win. But it's easier for us.
Even Lance Stroll feels like he can win a championship.
That guy winds me up. No, he does. We'll talk about him. But I feel like it's a lot easier for us looking in from the outside to be like, you've got it. You probably haven't. Yeah. And look, we've got 20 like very good drivers on the grid.
Well, they're the best in the world. That's why they're in this sport.
So like when we say like, oh, he's not very good, we mean it comparatively. Like, I'm not saying I'd want to like hop in a car and race one of them around Brands Hatch or anything. But I feel like Perez is not good enough to win a championship.
It's a valid point. I think we're going to see a more competitive Perez this year than maybe we did last year.
Yeah, but then, when he had to give the position back to Sainz yesterday, because of whatever happened, he never really got back at him.
No, he did.
We know that the Red Bulls had the pace because we saw Max absolutely stick it to Leclerc, who's quicker than Sainz.
Yeah, I agree. Before we get onto the race, let's just finish one of the big talking points from qualifying was Mick Schumacher. May I just say, 33G crash. He's a lucky boy. It looked nasty. It was a nasty crash.
It was sort of because there was such a little gap between like the pace, like the moment he lost control and the wall, it was almost like he must have been carrying so much momentum into that wall and then just stopped dead.
Yeah,
it wasn't like I don't know what to compare it to, but like that short impact of like it's just bang and then he like smashed into another wall. Then the car was in half.
No, but that's interesting. I didn't realise, and did you listen to what they were talking about after? The cars are made this year to pretty much snap, the rear end. No, snap. It's quite early in the morning, okay? The cars this year are made for the rear end basically to come away because it actually slows down momentum of the crash, apparently.
See, I didn't know that because when they lifted it up with that little like crane thing, I was like, "Jeez, it's hanging on by like a piece of string."
Yeah. No, apparently it's meant to this year. It's meant to actually come apart more because it's something to do with the crash. It slows down the momentum of the crash, and yeah. It's interesting. It is interesting, but I never realised until Crofty was talking about it. Crofty, it sounds like he's my mate. Yeah. Good old Crofty.
I don't. What's his first name?
David Croft? No.
Actually, I think it is.
Yeah, it's David Croft.
No, but I mean,
it sounds weird calling him David Croft. I don't even know the guy, but
The thing is if you are new to Formula One, little tip: if you do stay around, like after the race or even before the race, you do. And like other things like before qualifying, after qualifying, you learn quite a lot about the sport because they go into depth about like why certain things have happened and why was this car slower than this car. Like, even the same car. Like, for example, you could look at Lewis and George. Why was Lewis so much slower when we know Lewis is a quicker driver? They go into depth about all that stuff and they look at all the little things that we would never pick up on. And then you learn so much more about it.
But also, because we got asked this question on Instagram, and they said, is it worth watching practice? And I said 100%, because this is where they go, I think because they have more time, they're hour sessions, you have...
Well, there's not a great deal to talk about.
No, so they go more into depth on, the nature of the mechanics and the regulations for this year. And it's definitely, if you want to get into F1, this is your perfect opportunity to learn more about it, because... They have experienced people like Jenson Button come on there. Martin Brundle give their opinions. Chanrock, I love him.
Karun Shandok.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant. I think he's really good at his, at his role.
Paul di Resta is a bit annoying, isn't he?
He drives me nuts. He's a Red Bull fanboy.
Oh, he's a Max fanboy.
Oh, he's a Max. Can you imagine him and Horner together? It'd be amazing.
Awful.
Let's just finish off on qualifying. Lewis. I'm trying not to speak too much about Lewis Hamilton because in the last video, people were like, oh, look, Matt's being a fanboy of Lewis Hamilton. I'm not I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan.
The reason we're in black today is in memory of Mercedes.
What, like a 2021 car?
Because that was... Okay, I am going to wear the Mercedes cap for this little segment.
Yeah.
That was a shambles. What the hell?
It was a shocking... session, but afterwards they came out and I think they tweaked some of his strategy, his setup, and because in practice he looked reasonably okay.
Like Mercedes looked 5 and 6.
Yes, but they changed, and Hamilton came out after. He said, we tweaked my strategy and my setup of my car, and it just didn't work. It completely threw him, because he went out on softs, but because he didn't have time to come in and change his tyres again, because they kept him out for another lap. He didn't have time to come in and change onto fresh softs to try and beat that time. Because I don't think anyone was ever expecting they would go out in Q1. The last time he did that was back in 2017 in Brazil.
Yeah, and that was because he smashed into a wall.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you never imagined that, a 7-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton, would go out in Q1. I was shocked because I messaged you. We messaged each other, didn't we? And go, what the hell has just happened?
Yeah, mate, I got loads of texts from mates just like,
it was just...
what the fuck,
basically. It was just ridiculous. But, I mean, it just shows with these cars, you change the setup just slightly, it completely screws you. You can be like the best driver on the grid or, like a 7-time world champion, but you can still go out there. If your setup's not right, the car's useless.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and the car was useless. I mean, he got out-qualified by Lance Stroll.
It's always a bad day.
Yeah.
It's a bad day when Stroll...
But again, Mercedes have more problems than just their car. What was it like? The bottom 5 cars were Mercedes powered.
Yeah, and this is where the concern. If you're looking at the grid and you're seeing like these Ferrari powered engines looking, superb and being up there challenging. You've got Red Bull with their engines looking great. Mercedes engines are going to be looking at each other and going, what do we do here?
Like, what have we put in our car?
Russell, I thought, was under the radar this weekend. I thought he did a very solid job.
Unbelievable. Kept his head down and just did what he had to do.
Very solid job. Just touching on Russell, I don't think I saw him on the race once.
The only time they showed him was when Lewis was near him.
Yeah, you didn't see him at all. Like,
I think he was just. He said like, oh, that was a lonely race. Like, I was just on my own the whole time. And he was like, by the end of the race, he was like 20 seconds behind Perez and like 20 seconds ahead of Alonso.
Yeah,
was it Alonso or one of the Alpines? I think it's embarrassing. It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't.
Right. Even with a setup tweak, there's no way a team like Mercedes should be going out in Q1. Yeah. How can you set up the car that wrong? To be, what was he, like 9/10 down on George?
Oh yeah, it was shocking.
Like, I'm sorry, that you would, at the levels at the moment, you would not see Ferrari or Red Bull, minus their pace. No. You would not see them do a setup that wrong. And Mercedes there's some issues going on there, because can we talk about Lewis getting stitched in the race by his strategy team?
We can do.
Do they hate him? Because they did last season, they absolutely shagged him. Like, he got done so many times by like a poor strategy.
Stepsister?
No, it wasn't that.
No.
Well, like, everyone watching the race, right, last season, what was it? Hungary? Is that where it was?
Turkey. You talking about the rain race?
No, but that they didn't.
Oh, Hungary, when they didn't bring him in for the wet.
Didn't bring him in.
Yeah, Hungary, yeah.
And everyone was like, like watching, you could see like the sun was out, track looked pretty dry. Every other driver was like, I think we need slicks. And they just keep him out. And then he starts the race on his own.
It's an easy mistake. 19 drivers there, all go in for the tyres.
Oh, yeah.
An experienced team like Mercedes leave him out.
And the 7-time world champion stays out. I mean, that's...
They even bring in Bottas.
Yeah, exactly. But that happened. There was a lot of strategy errors last season. I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Turkey, when he didn't want to pit, they pitted him and he came out, when he was on course for what, 4th?
Oh, yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
And then,
there was that.
Then they bring him in and, there's a lot
even
of calls.
Even Bahrain.
Yeah, there's a lot.
He
of
was
calls.
lucky to win that.
Yeah, there's a lot of calls last year which were questionable, but I think, Mercedes as a whole, regardless of whether it's Hamilton or Russell is doing well. They had a good week last week in Bahrain. Very lucky. Damage limitations came out, and I think let's touch on the race now, okay? Because I think we've spoken a lot about Hamilton. They're going to start thinking we're just
Mercedes. But I feel like that was quite an important bit, because look, Lewis Hamilton going out in Q1, finishing 10th.
Yeah,
he got 1 point, and if they didn't, I mean, he was unlucky with the pit lane closure, but wasn't it obvious that the pit lane was going to close? Was I the only one sitting there thinking like, there's 2 cars broken down the pit lane, that's going to close?
Well, did you see the footage after when he drove past the car, and did you hear the radio? He was like,
they were like, box, box.
There's a slow car, and then he went past and they went box, and he was just like, what
do
you
you
want me to do? Like, yeah. No, for me, if you're an experienced team like that, you've got to be. Those mistakes shouldn't happen. They shouldn't happen. And I would say the same if you're a Red Bull or Ferrari. Those mistakes should not happen.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like last year, Red Bull's strategy team, unbelievable.
They nailed it. Yeah.
Their strategies were perfect. Their pit stops were perfect.
Yeah.
Mercedes, their pit stops are like a second slower sometimes than Red Bull. That's light years in a race. Like that to me, it's just something is not like clicking in the team. And I think for a long time they've been able to rely on the fact that they've got such a fast car that we can lose a second on pit stops, or we can have like not the best strategy because chances are we'll just win anyway because we're so quick.
Yeah, and that's what's helped them over the years.
Now they need to actually start thinking like, no, we got to claw some time back here elsewhere.
A lot of time.
Yeah,
it's not even like a
second a lap.
Yeah, and that's the mad thing. But I do feel sorry, and it's funny. Your brother messaged me last night and going, "I feel really sorry for Russell." Like, he waits all those years to get into a top team, and then all of a sudden...
Now they're midfield.
Yeah, and he's like, he may as well just stuck with Williams.
Yeah, well, you say that. The Williams still look terrible.
Yeah. Still looks good, but they stink.
Yeah, it looks like they haven't even... have they just brought the same car from last year?
Yeah, new livery, though.
Yeah,
new livery.
That's all they've done.
Yeah. Let's touch on the race. Tsunoda didn't even start on the formation lap. I don't even know if it was on the formation lap, actually. It was on the way to the grid, wasn't it? That his car just, you know...
Yeah, no, it wasn't formation lap. No. Yeah, it was before that.
So they're saying it's a power unit. So that's real concerns, as we touched on earlier, for Alfa Romeo. But I was gutted,
Alfa Romeo?
Alpha Tauri, sorry. I was gutted not to see Tsunoda this weekend. I'm glad I took him out of my fantasy team, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll touch on fantasy, because you've done a few things that are making me question your character. But we'll get onto that.
Good start by Perez. I thought considering this his first pole, he had a great start. Held off Leclerc, held off Sainz.
Sainz got
pushed out by Leclerc.
Yeah, so then he lost his place to Verstappen. Verstappen is at those at lights out. Verstappen is one of the best drivers I've ever seen, man.
He's a beast. Like, he doesn't care. He will just go.
He finds the gap and he just dives down there, and he's always gaining places. I find it incredible watching him come off the line.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. He's one of the best. I don't know what it is. It's just like his aggression. It's like, I don't care. I'm going to find any bit of space, and I'm just going to put my car there. And I don't know if he's just expecting other drivers around him to back off, that he knows that actually if I put my car there, that other car is just going to back off, because he's the most aggressive on there.
Yeah, but he doesn't crash there. I mean, he does crash. I haven't seen him like crash at the start. Not
in a while.
Yeah, not since like Bottas went into him, which wasn't really his fault, was it? Like, Bottas.
Yes, Bottas. Well done.
But yeah, no, I think it's so impressive. I love watching him get off the line.
Yeah.
Because if he is starting like P4, which fair enough, he doesn't really start that far back anymore. But even P2, you normally expect him to dive down the inside and get first place. So. He did it a lot to Hamilton last season.
Oh, yeah. Do we think... so with regards to Perez... Just want to touch on that. He had a very good start to the race. Looked very comfortable. For me, pulled a good lead from Leclerc. He didn't look like he was in trouble. The only thing that screwed him was the pit stops. And the safety car.
Yeah.
He came in 1 lap later. The main man, Latifi, puts his car into the wall.
But that's the game.
No, I agree.
One thing I do hope they change, because we were hoping when Latifi went into the wall, which that was quite a bit later on, wasn't it? Or was that the one after like 20 laps?
The one after 20 laps.
I think it was when the others were dying out. We were like hoping for a red flag.
Yeah.
So Lewis could come in,
change his tyres,
get a tyre change. But what I will say is I hate that rule. I mean, then what's the point in that? You don't need a strategy. Let's just hope for a red flag, and we'll get a free tyre change anyway.
But last year that benefited Max, didn't it, a lot?
Yeah, and like, I didn't like it then. I wouldn't like it if Lewis was able to change his tyres. No. I just think it's such a poor rule.
Well, Lando last year literally stated, he was like, it's just a ridiculous rule. Why would you have it? Why would you be allowed to change your tyres because of a red flag?
Yeah.
Your whole point is that your strategy... I understand that you lose a lot of time, and the whole point is actually, if you've got, for example, a 20-second lead, then you in theory have lost all your time, and if you wanted to pit 2 laps later, you've lost that. I get it from that point of view, but actually the whole point of it is this strategy, isn't it? Look at Hamilton yesterday, losing all that time because the pit lane was closed. If he was allowed to pit then, he would have probably finished about 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
But because of that, and the safety car and the pit lane being closed, he finished 10th.
But it's those sort of things that make the race exciting,
exactly.
Whether they go in your favour or not. You get a red flag and everyone comes out on fresh tyres, you're just like... Well, like...
So you may as well just restart the race.
Yeah, like, now, now we know what's going to happen. 19 out of the 20 cars don't need to pit anymore.
Yeah.
So chances are we're just going to go round in circles for the next 25 laps, and that's it.
Yeah.
We've got no other element to like spice the race up. If there's another crash and we get red flag, they'll probably just change their tyres again. So I really do hate that rule. But we didn't get a red flag anyway, which surprised me.
I was expecting a red flag. I was really expecting a red flag. Can we just touch on the Alpines? Because
that was incredible, by the way.
I loved that racing.
Yeah.
And what I loved the most, they were allowed to race.
Yeah, but is that highly irresponsible? There was almost a few collisions.
It was. But F1 is about seeing who the best driver is.
No,
and
it is, but as two teammates, they lost themselves positions. They lost themselves so much time, and because they were quick, but they got closed in on by
Bottas.
Yeah, by Bottas, K-Mag. I think Lewis even got involved.
He was close at the end, but they were really close to Russell at one point, and then they were just fighting each other.
Yeah, and Russell just pulled away, but the Alpines were quick all weekend. I feel like they could have given Russell a hard time had they have worked together.
What they should have done, because I was thinking this during the race, let Alonso go. Alonso seemed quicker at that point. In the first stint, he looked a lot quicker. In my opinion, let Alonso go, let him challenge Russell, and then bring Ocon into the race later on. But no, I do agree with you. From a team point of view, it wasn't the best. However, from a neutral fan point of view, I thought it was phenomenal. Great racing. Alonso was almost in the wall at one point.
Yeah, coming down the main straight? Yeah. No, it was such a good watch, and I loved it. But I was thinking, like, if I was the man in charge, I'd be on the radio, like, what are you doing? Like,
but they even spoke to him, didn't they? They spoke to him and go, are you going to let them race? And he was like, well, just letting them race at the moment.
Yeah, and then they showed, like, clips of him, and he's sitting there like this, just, like, head in his hands, like, absolutely crapping himself. Just so I just, like, was he just saying that for show? Like, oh, I'm the cool boss, when really he's just, like, crying.
Yeah, go and enjoy yourself. Please don't. Please don't. Please.
Yeah, like, I think it just seems a touch stupid when they had so much pace. They had an opportunity to really stick it to Russell, I think. Especially, like you say, when Alonso was flying.
He was quick.
And fair play to Ocon, I think he defended pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they had just said, let Alonso through, if he's no quicker, I think Crofty even said this, we'll swap you back.
Yeah.
Which, that's how...
It makes more sense. That's what other teams would have normally have done. I don't think there's any other team principal on there who would have let that happen. I think, if it was Mercedes, they would have gone, go. Ferrari would have done the same. Red Bull would have gone, go race. If you can't do it, then we'll swap back. But
I don't think Red Bull would have let Perez go in front of Max.
Okay, yeah, maybe not, yeah.
Don't
go near my golden boy. Yeah. Stay away from my golden boy.
It would have been like that. To be fair, I think even if they did say to Max, he'd be like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, not letting that happen.
Come and catch me.
Yeah. I'll crash into you.
Is your halo all right? I might just end up on top of it. But no, from a neutral point of view, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great racing.
Yeah,
an experienced driver like, Alonso and the new boy I suppose not the new boy. Ocon's been around a while, but
compared to Alonso, he's a new boy.
He's a new boy. Just seeing them race was just phenomenal. I thought it was brilliant racing.
Yeah, no, it was, and like I said at the beginning, you had a lot of races within that race. I thought it was. These new cars are really living up to expectation, and after the race, they actually on Sky Sports, they had an interview where they had Ocon, K-Mag and Norris. And like they were like, so have the cars delivered? Do they do like what they were supposed to? Yeah. And like all of them were like, yes.
Ocon was like, it's like go-karting.
Yeah.
I love it, yeah. And this is what I was going to say about, they have said, the closer racing is much better. It is like their go-karting days. It's more fun. And, like Ocon says, you feel like you're in a race. It's constant. You have to be on it all the time. And he said, that's what I like.
Yeah, because last season we saw, no matter where it was really on the field, when someone got overtaken, the other car, they just start breaking away. Yeah. Normally that was how it worked. Now it's moving all the time. You've actually got to like watch the little like scoreboard thing, whatever it's called, the name board. I don't know. You've actually got
2-0.
You've actually got to watch it because it's actually moving around now.
Yeah.
Whereas last season it was like, oh, who's at the front, Lewis or Max, and then that was it. However that grid looked when you looked at it, it was probably going to look the same at the end after all the pit stops had taken place. Obviously.
Let's touch on tyre deg because degradation.
Yeah, you're getting technical now.
I am. Yeah.
This is beyond my knowledge, but I'll try and pretend that I know what you're talking about.
No, the tyre degradation. So the tyre degradation is basically how quick the tyre, for new ones, is how quick the tyre disintegrates, basically. Not disintegrates, but wears.
Yeah, so like how quickly the performance
drops from it. But I was really impressed yesterday. No one started on the softs, the C4s. Everyone either
no one went on to them, did they?
No one went on to them. Everyone except the Mercedes started on mediums. Mercedes started on hards. I was really impressed with the hards yesterday because what was quite interesting is I thought it was a massive mistake because the performance on the hards the first probably 10 laps were really poor. But then once they started to come into their own, and they look quite strong because Hamilton started to actually close up. I don't know if that was because the mediums were starting to go off, but the hards...
I think it was a combination of both.
Yeah, but the hards, the degradation on those are long-lasting. I think Hamilton could have quite easily finished that race just on one tyre.
Oh, yeah, no, if he was allowed, he would have easily done that.
Yeah.
Done that race. They literally looked fine. And
unlike last year, do you remember when he went on the hards for pretty much the whole, and they were like bald as anything?
Yeah.
The difference this year, the tyres are holding up a lot better than they're taking. Certain tyres are taking a longer time to warm up or get into the race.
Yeah, which because we spoke about, they're bigger, so it's harder to get the temperature into the tyres because there's more surface area.
But after Bahrain, I was expecting the hards to be useless because you remember Lewis comes out of the pits and literally just slides.
He's on ice.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh God, these are going to be awful. But in this race, the hards looked very good and it seemed like it was quite a good choice because in theory, if it wasn't for the close pit line, Hamilton probably would have finished about 6th or 7th in that race, considering he had to start 15th.
Yeah, were you surprised they didn't put him on softs?
Yeah, I think because they were kind of unsure how long they lasted. And I think when he came in, there was, 9-10 laps to go still?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. Yeah, but they would have lasted that, surely.
You could have put them on. I think just the mediums was the better performance, and that's what showed that mediums were... You could push harder on the mediums.
George qualified on the mediums, didn't he?
I think he was on the softs.
But I swear... Mercedes across the weekend, I swear they were looking quicker on the mediums.
They did go out in Q1 and Q2 on mediums, I believe. But I think Q3, correct me if I'm wrong here, was on the softs.
Okay.
I may be wrong.
But yeah, I just found it a bit surprising. It also got to a point where I was thinking, Red Bull going to bring Max in for the softs for like the last 9 or 10 laps? To just because I didn't think he was able to get Leclerc.
No.
And then I was thinking, are they going to do that? Because they've got to make some sort of move where he can absolutely push. But yeah, obviously, everyone just stayed away from them.
But the tyres looked phenomenal in this. The hard tyres looked great, and it showed towards the end. You still got a lot of great racing with the hard tyres. And a lot of pace still with those hard tyres, which is something I don't think we saw last year.
Well, because, God, I know I'm speaking about Hamilton again, but just using this as an example. After the safety car, where loads of people pitted, Alonso was on fresh hards behind him. I think it was Alonso. And he was on, obviously, the used, and he wasn't Alonso wasn't gaining on him.
No.
And those Alpines, which we said were quick weekend.
But that's what was interesting. It looked like the hards are actually a better tyre, longer the longer you get into the race than actually when they start off.
They really like wear into it, don't they?
But even at the end, when the tyres came off, they didn't look awful.
No.
Which was quite surprising.
Yeah, you saw like some tyres last year where they were like blistering and they'd be like flaking everywhere.
And it's a hot track. I mean, I know it's a bit cooler in the evening, but it's still a warm track.
Yeah, I mean, all the drivers looked pretty like sweaty when they took that.
But I was really impressed with the tyres. And I thought the hard tyres, it showed this year you have still close racing with the hard tyres and there's a lot of pace in them.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think, you know, we can give props to the FIA for this new car, these new regulations.
Talking about props, should we give a massive shout out to DRS? Because drag reduction system, for anyone who doesn't know what DRS is.
Go on, explain it to the newbies.
Well, it gives you more speed because the wing's open. It gives you more drag,
less
drag, and it gives you more speed down the straights in certain areas to overtake cars. It gives you, I can't remember how many seconds, or it gives you
I think it's half a tenth a lap.
Half a tenth a lap. It gives you speed wise. But I have to say, I'm loving the mind games already.
Yeah. You're talking about the last corner, aren't you?
No, I'm not talking about just. But we saw it in Bahrain.
Yep.
And we saw it again yesterday. The mind games with Verstappen, Leclerc. Nobody wants to. You want to get the DRS. You're happy to lose the position to get DRS down the straight line. And that's what showed yesterday when you saw Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc locking up into that final corner. That was because the person wanted to get DRS.
At first, I don't think Max had thought about that really, had he? Because he dived. When it first happened, he like dived down, got the position. Leclerc got the DRS. He just overtook him back. Then you saw Max was like, "Oh right, this isn't going to work. Like, I need that DRS down the straight." But because they had the straight line speed, he was so much quicker than Leclerc round the back of the track that he had to overtake him because he just had so much pace. Yeah. And then that's when they both started playing. Like Leclerc, you could hear him come off the accelerator, and then Max had to start doing it, and then they were both slowing down right before the line. They lock up. But Leclerc was clever there because he was like, "All right, I'm just going to send it then." So they both braked, and then I think was it just before the line, he just floored it,
and then he got away, didn't he, from that at that time? But no, I thought it was brilliant. I love the mind games with it. I think it's just a phenomenal added incentive to the race now. You know that actually if you get that DRS, it's worth so much more. You're worth losing that position because you know that because of how much closer racing it is, it's beneficial getting that DRS because you know you'll get them down the straight.
It was I think you say it quite well where you say it's another element now for us to think about. It's not just like, oh, he's the quicker car, he'll overtake him. No. Doesn't matter about DRS because, you know, it's just not going to affect us that much. But, now they have to think, do I actually want to be ahead in this corner? Or should I hold off? But then the other driver's thinking like, oh, I hope he overtakes me here. So then, that's when you start getting these lockups into corners because people are, like, braking harder so the other person will get in front.
I suppose we kind of did see it last year at Jeddah with... You know, because obviously Hamilton went into the back of Verstappen because they were waiting for the DRS line. So you kind of you have seen it. Yeah, but I don't think you've seen it as close and how important DRS is now to that straight line speed.
Yeah, because I think now it's because last season it was less important because it was still so hard to follow the cars.
Yeah.
Because of the dirty air. Whereas now... they can follow so much closer that I feel like it arguably gives them even more speed.
And Red Bull don't need any more speed.
No, they
down
don't.
The straight lines.
They're cheating. We're gonna protest against them. They got to be cheating.
We're going to be touched the wing. Touch the wing, £50. Ferrari very good in sector 1. Red Bull's dominated in sector 2 and 3.
Yeah, but that's where the pace is really, isn't it?
But
what I have got to say is I think. I stand by the fact that I'd love to see Mercedes come into this battle at the front. But if we've got Leclerc and Max going at it for the season, I think we're in for a treat.
Oh, I mean, we're 2 races in, and the racing is.
They're both a touch reckless.
Yep.
They're both still very young. I know. I mean, Max is one of actually the most experienced drivers on the grid, but they're still young, so they're not mature in how they race. So I think it's gonna be interesting because it will get hot headed.
Talking of mature, do you think you're going to see a more rounded Verstappen this year? Do you think he learned from his mistakes last year? And do you think actually now, because you saw it briefly yesterday, like we touched on with the DRS, he was like, well, Leclerc, he would never normally be that strategic, would he? He would be like, want to overtake. If I lose position, doesn't matter. I want to get that position. But you saw a bit like you saw like a different side to him yesterday.
Yeah, well, I think he's got to take away. I don't think I said this before on a podcast, but I said it before where I think Max has been poorly managed, like in terms of man management, and it showed last season where I think like Christian Horner's never taught him to yield a position, and he's always come out like valiantly defending him.
Yeah.
Where like sometimes he needs to be like these young drivers. He's not so young anymore, but like because he's constantly been like propped up, they need to be like told that like this.
You've made a mistake here.
Like sometimes just give away the position.
Yeah.
You'll get him back. Because he is so quick. He doesn't need to worry.
No.
He can lose a position and gain it back. And we said this taking it back to Silverstone, where if he had just given that position to Lewis,
he would have got him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have got it. No, I agree.
My camera needs. And even if he didn't, right? Even if he didn't, he could have just taken the 7-point hit.
Yeah.
And he would have won the championship.
Regardless.
With a lot less stress
than
that last race.
No.
And at least we would have been not stressed either, because he would have already basically won it anyway. He could have just dealt with second, and he would have won it.
I still like the end of last season. But anyway, we're moving on. It's new season. Let's just finish on finishing off on the race. I thought on a whole, I thought it was very good. Ocon almost lost the position to Norris on the line again. I don't know if this is just like a thing he likes doing.
Gets him going.
Because obviously, if you watched last year, he lost to Bottas on the line. This year, down the straight, Norris had a great exit into that final corner, and I thought he was going to get him again. And I was thinking to myself, not again. Surely not two
1/10 of a second that he held his position.
Mental, isn't it?
Can I actually just say, because I had this conversation yesterday when I was watching. I think we saw yesterday why Bottas lost his seat at Mercedes. He's not aggressive enough.
No.
He hasn't got that like killer instinct.
He should have got past those Alpines. He was so close behind them. Yeah, no,
he doesn't.
I agree.
He doesn't take risks into corners. He doesn't. I can't remember. It was towards the latter end of the race. And like he was going down the straight and he like pulled out to dive bomb someone. And he was so far back, like he was never gonna make it, and he sort of like did it like and then just pulled back in.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, yeah, that's why. Like
he wasn't aggressive enough. And the issue is this year, and we touched on it last time, he is going to be the better driver out of those two, out of him and Zhou. He's going to be consistent. He's going to get good points. I know he retired yesterday, but he will pick up good points because the Alfa Romeo looks quite strong. But you're not going to see him in like a P4, P3. You're not going to see him on podiums because, I suppose, like you say, he's not aggressive enough.
Yeah, he hasn't got that killer instinct.
That's not his style, though, is it?
No, but that's
that's motor racing. That's what's
but then don't be surprised when you're living in the shadow of your, he spent 5 years in, something like 5 years in Lewis's shadow. And now, I was just disappointed. The car was so quick. Yeah. And he was so good through qualifying. He was so good last week. I just think it's his racecraft. He's not like,
Yeah.
he's quick. Let's not take that away from him. But he doesn't. It's like he doesn't want to upset other drivers. He doesn't want to like.
He wants to be their friend.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go wheel to wheel with them and really, really like
take them out.
Give it to them.
Yeah.
He just.
After like last year, he literally took out like 6 of them. But anyway, that's like
Yeah, and then he apologised.
Yeah, why apologise?
Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah. Own your mistake. Just go, yeah, screw it. I wanted to take you out.
How's your car, bitch? That's what you should have
said. Well, like when Russell came up to him and called him a see you next
Smacked
Tuesday.
Him on the head. That was bad, wasn't it?
It was bad, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure like Bottas didn't even do anything.
But that's what I want to see. I want to see Bottas go up, like after that crash and do like a Cantona drop kick or something on like one of their heads or something. I want to see him like literally go up and go, yeah, screw you. Like,
yeah, I'd like to see
more aggression.
He must have something inside him like that has got him to this position.
Yeah.
He must have I assume he must have had karting days as a Formula 1 driver. He must have been.
No, he just came out of university and was like, "What do you want to do? F1 driver?" Yeah,
passed his driving test with flying colours and thought. No, but and that's what I mean. I feel like. Yeah, maybe it's the years of driving for Mercedes that have actually sucked that out of him.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
he just hasn't got the confidence to go and do it anymore.
Talking about confidence, Danny Rick, another shocking race yesterday. He retired.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it was a shocking race for him. He was in the points, wasn't he?
When he went, I think he was 11th when he retired. But yeah, I mean...
The McLarens looked better.
Yes.
I will say that. Lando did all right. Where did he finish?
He finished...
Like 7th, wasn't it?
I think he was 8th.
Oh, I thought Ocon got 6th.
Oh, yeah, no, he was 7th. Yeah, he was 7th. Yeah. No, I mean, for the McLarens, it's very good. But you got to remember, 6 of the cars didn't finish the race. I mean...
Where you've got, like... Sonoda, who probably would have been points.
Alonso would have been points.
Bottas.
Yep.
Yeah, no. So
Latifi would have been in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he would have been on podium.
There was a lot.
Mick Schumacher probably would have been in points. So
yeah, or he would have been at least fighting.
Yeah. So yes, it's very good for Norris. I agree. It's exactly what they needed, and he took everything that when the opportunity came up, he took them.
But you don't think it's representative of what they will actually, or what they are actually capable of?
I think if the other drivers did finish, I think
he wouldn't have been points.
No. But I don't know if that is harsh to say, but I don't know what you think. Do you agree, or do you think I'm being a bit harsh here?
No, I don't know, because I hadn't actually thought about it like that. I just thought, the McLarens are looking better. But then I think they did look better than they did in Bahrain. So whether they were that good, I guess we'll have to wait to Australia to really see.
Yeah.
But in Australia, we should be seeing some upgrades.
How have we been talking 55 minutes already?
Yeah, I know. Time goes quick, doesn't it, when you're talking shit about Formula 1.
Do we want to finish on fan questions?
Yeah, can we just... One final bit, right?
Yep.
Upgrades. McLaren bought some.
Yep.
For this week, so maybe it did make a difference.
Was better, yep.
We're hearing rumours that my camera has died.
Is that
we need to change the battery.
Is that one of the rumours?
Yeah, it's come out in the press recently. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. So, what we are hearing on the grapevine is that Mercedes are bringing some serious upgrades in time for Imola. But what I did also see yesterday is that they've actually been brought forward and we're going to see them for Australia.
They need them.
Yeah, so are we going to, what do you think? If they do bring these upgrades, because bear in mind, Red Bull, Ferrari, everyone are constantly developing.
Yeah.
Do we think that these upgrades are going to make a difference?
You hope so, because what you want to see...
You mean we hope so?
We hope so. No, but I think as a sport you hope so, because you want to see more competition throughout the season. So you want to see Mercedes in there as well, fighting the likes of Red Bull and Ferrari. What's interesting and what Christian Horner said yesterday, was
There goes our Red Bull brand deal.
Damn it.
Don't forget, we are representing.
We are. We've got Ferrari here. One thing that was interesting yesterday, what Christian said was, it's very hard to know what to, because it's capped, isn't it? Your budget is capped this year.
Yep.
So you don't have the luxury of just having unlimited money to buy for upgrades. So you're having to see after the first couple of races where you invest that money.
Yeah, I actually know the part you're talking about because I watched this as well. And he's saying, you've got to be careful where you're putting the money into. Haven't you? You don't want to put too much money into this and then be like, oh, actually, that's not exactly where the problem is. But also now we need to upgrade over here. But now we've used some of that money over here. And yeah, no, you've got to be really,
I would
really
be
clever.
surprised if you see some of the teams later on falling off. So, for example, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if you saw maybe the Ferrari maybe tailing off halfway through the season because maybe they've invested in certain areas, whereas, for example, Mercedes or Alpine might have actually invested in a bigger upgrade. So they might actually... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I think also, if we are looking ahead at the season, I think Red Bull are definitely going to be more intelligent with their upgrades. This is my personal opinion. I think that we're more likely to see Red Bull push forward than we are Ferrari.
Yeah, I agree. So you're thinking it's Red Bull season already, potentially?
Yeah, I know. Only because of their history over the last 10 years, really. I mean, and last season they really showed that they are able to push. They are able to take it. Ferrari were never able to take it to Mercedes.
No, I agree.
Red Bull did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still think it's Red Bull's season. I still think it's Max Verstappen's season. But yeah, let's hope that Merc get up there, just so we as fans get a battle between three teams.
It'd be phenomenal, wouldn't it?
That would be.
I think it'd be great if you push Mercedes in there, because then you've got three teams with such talented drivers.
Yeah.
Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton. In my opinion, 6 of the best you've seen on the grid in a while. Seeing them race, it'd be phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it would just... And, like I said, we've got a season on our hands already with Leclerc and Verstappen going at it. Throw Hamilton in there, yeah. Russell in there. Obviously, Sainz is in the mix, and Perez.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great.
That
Guys,
would be quality.
Let us know what your thoughts are on the Jeddah Grand Prix. Comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. We'll finish on fan questions.
So I'm going to let you ask me this week.
Oh, okay. Fine. Right. This is from Charlie Thrower. It says Charlie X Thrower. As a McLaren fan, I want to know what you guys think. Could they be competitive?
No.
Oh.
Not this season. I don't no chance. But they are in my opinion, the only team that have the possibility to compete with Red Bull and Ferrari are Mercedes. And that's because they've got so many issues with their car.
Yeah. And
they're still third fastest. I just don't think the other teams are not going to be able to do it this year. McLaren, I think, if Mercedes take that leap, I think eventually McLaren will become best of the rest.
Yeah.
But that Mercedes power is not looking like the one. So I think the midfield could be just as interesting as the battle at the front this season. So yeah, maybe buy some Ferrari merch or something. Have yourself a winning season.
Ryan_Evans says, is Charles a better technical driver than Max if they were in identical machinery?
What do we mean by technical driver?
I'm guessing they're thinking, I suppose, smarter.
I think Max is more emotional. I'd say Max is one of the smartest drivers out there. You don't get one over on a 7-time world champion by not being smart.
No.
I mean, in my opinion, Max is a quicker driver.
Yeah.
Stick him in the same car, I think
Max would win.
Max
would win all day.
Max wins. I think, 50% of the time he probably beats Hamilton in the same car. There's no denying he is quick.
Yeah.
Leclerc is also very quick, but if you stuck them in both in like a Peugeot 206, my money would be on Max every day of the week.
Not a Peugeot 206.
I think that'd be a good race.
Yeah, I'd watch it. Dimar Duggan, sorry if I said your name wrong, said, has Lewis lost his hunger, or is it purely the car?
No, it is. I mean, it's obviously the car.
Yeah.
But I understand the question. Like, I don't know, if you lost your left leg, you'd probably lose your hunger to play football. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what an analogy.
He's had the power of having that a competitive car taken away from him. So he's probably thinking like, oh man, all I went through last season, and then it ends the way it does, and now I've got to drive this tractor. Like, what's he done to deserve that? But I think if they have seen behind the scenes what the car is actually capable of, because they know something that we don't. There's a reason they don't have side pods. There's a reason that they're saying, no, we know the capability of this car.
They still seem quite confident, don't they? That it's not like a... George Russell's interview yesterday, yeah, he looks a bit downbeat, but it's not like he's going, oh, the season's over. He seems quite like...
He's still like...
confident.
Yeah. So, no, I don't think he's lost the hunger. I just think he's probably a bit bummed that he's got to start with this piece of shit, basically. Which is fair enough. He spent like 8 years in a
championship winning car, yeah. Now
yeah.
It's like a...
And then he's seeing Max Verstappen, his closest rival, in a brilliant car.
But it's also got to be disheartening knowing that last year you were challenging, like going head to head, like all year, being that championship like contender, to now being 15th, 16th on the grid, and you're like, what the hell has happened to me?
Yeah.
J_Ridgway asks, rank the drivers: Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Gasly, Sainz.
Leclerc, George. I'm gonna go Gasly.
Okay.
Norris, Sainz.
You think Sainz is worse than all of those?
I think Gasly last season. The thing is, right, Sainz has a good car.
Yeah.
For me, he's just too off the pace to Leclerc at the moment. Fair play, he did it last season. He beat him on points. I don't care. Gasly looked brilliant last season in what we can say was he outperformed the car.
Yeah.
I think Lando Norris, he showed yesterday. He was taking around that McLaren piece of junk, and he finished 7th. Okay, and we said he capitalised on the opportunities, but I don't know. That is a tough one because I think they're all good drivers.
Is there any car in this episode you haven't called a piece of junk?
The Red Bulls and the Ferraris.
Aston Martin?
That is scrap metal, mate. What's the point in that car? That is.
Okay, fine. Final question. C_Arlo. We're obviously going to touch on Australia. We're doing Australia preview next week, so we haven't touched on that this one. And we're also going to do F1 fantasy from this week in next week's episode.
Otherwise, we'll have nothing to talk about next week because there's no race this weekend.
But C_Arlo says, do you think Danny Rick can turn up on his home turf in the next race, or is the car not good enough? We've kind of touched on it. So do you think it's Danny Rick, or do you think the car's not good enough?
I think neither of them are. Look, right. And I said this earlier on in the podcast. All 20 drivers are very, very, very good drivers. Now, what I'm saying is I don't think Danny Rick has the capabilities to stick it to them anymore. And it's like he's one of the nicest drivers on the grid, and I think it's a shame that he's never lived up to what he should have been. And now he's probably at a point where he's thinking like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've raced for Red Bull, didn't win a championship, made a weird move to Renault, don't know why I did that. Then went to McLaren, and I'm being outperformed by this child. And now I'm driving a tractor and still being outperformed by a child. So I just think it must be a bit disheartening for him. And it's probably sucked the drive out of him. And you saw in Drive to Survive, where last season he went out in Q1 and he was like, it's just embarrassing, man. Yeah. And he's probably, like, his confidence is being knocked. I think he's probably not going to show up in Australia. I think he'll want to. I don't think it will be like it will be a combination of him and the car. Yeah, basically, I'd love to see him get points. I'd love to see him do well. I don't want people sitting here watching thinking they're like I don't want him to succeed or anything. Because I would love to. Yeah, no, I agree. Let's just finish off driver standings. Leclerc now has a 12-point lead over Sainz. Verstappen is obviously on the board, 25 points. Hamilton drops down to 5th. Russell is in 4th with 22 points. Constructors, Ferrari are now on 78 points. Mercedes on 38. Yeah, so right. How are Mercedes there with that car? Well, I don't know. Red Bull are now they're 37 points. I know. So I know. Obviously, got good points yesterday. I know Red Bull didn't finish in the first race. But surely, if you're Toto Wolff, you're sitting there thinking like, "I'll take that." Damage limitations, and this is something which Christian Horner used. The word he used so much last year. Damage limitations. Mercedes, they've got to just go along a bit until they sort it, pick up as much points as they can. Like Hamilton said, he said, I've got a point's a point. So that is it. So it's going to be interesting. But all we know so far is this season has got off to a flyer. It's an exciting season. I'm excited for Australia. 6 a.m. start. Shit, really? Yeah, 6 a.m. I think the first races. Well, the first race. How many races are there? The only race is 6 a.m, I believe. Oh, that is awful. Well, I don't mind it. I think it'd be quite nice. Why have they done that? Well, because they go by Australian time. That's out of order. What do you think? What? So Luke says, okay, can we get a petition, please? Can we change it to what time would you like? Well, 6 a.m. takes the piss, doesn't it? What time would you like? I could do like 9 a.m. Okay, so petition. Can you please get in touch with the FIA and say Luke is not happy with a 6 a.m. start. He would like 9 a.m. It's just like, what's the point? Because you go in line with what the countries are. I can't drink at 6 a.m. What, so you could drink at 9? Yeah. Okay, fine. How am I meant to quench my thirst watching that? Why don't you just go on a night out the night before and then just roll through, yeah, get completely drunk. Guys, so thank you very much for listening to this episode or watching on this episode. Remember, you can check us out on all social media. Please leave us a rating on Spotify and iTunes. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode previewing Australia. Yeah, I think what we should do also is we'll look back over the previous years. Who's performed well there as a driver. Yep. I think obviously we can't really look at the cars. And we'll really try and break it down for you. Also, we're going to look at F1 Fantasy and F1 Play from the race just gone, because obviously this episode has gone on way too long. But all of that will be in next week's episode. Keep following us. We really appreciate all the support. We're over 1,000 on Instagram now, 1,000 on YouTube. Keep sharing. And until next time, I shall catch you later. Bye-bye.